Rob and Barrett. Derek's getting himself straightened out. We're working on his technical issues, which we will have. We're efforting, as we always like to say.
Efforting this.
Efforting this. Yes. So a couple things. We were reacting to the Jalen Hurts press conference that he had a little bit earlier. It was, the Eagles representatives, Howie and Jeffrey Lurie. Jeffrey introduced Jalen. Jalen was there. His family was there, girlfriend, etc. So it was great to see everybody. Nick Sirianni was there. Everybody there today supporting Jalen and getting that deal taken care of. So a lot of excitement, for sure. But a couple other things, Barrett, that I want to dive into. Some weird rumors over the weekend, and keep in mind it's that time of year. I mean, this is when this stuff is flowing, especially heavy. There's a lot of smoke screens being thrown around, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to bounce this one off of you, okay? Regarding Derrick Henry. So we know that, he's a guy who's been a stalwart, for a long time. That's for sure. And there's a lot of options, for the Eagles. But this one was interesting. You remember former NFL player Akbar Baja Biamila?
Yeah. I played with his brother.
Okay. So he is he retired. He hosts
NBC now.
Ninja Warrior. Yeah. Does other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So he put a rumor out there over the weekend saying that he's hearing that the Eagles, there's mutual interest between the Eagles and Derrick Henry coming over here from Tennessee. Now, he shares the same agency as Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown. They're all represented by the same folks. So when people, got wind of that, they started thinking, all right, here we go. This thing must be real if these two are, on the same page. I guess, Barrett, I'll bounce this off you because my first reaction, his salary cap hit this year is $16 million, most of which would likely be picked up by the Titans, and it's the final year of his contract. But that said, Derek's back. So Connor, we're talking about the Derrick Henry rumor. Like, my first reaction was, if you're in a position at 10, 30, or with your second round pick to take a running back there, which will cost you much less, even if Tennessee's picking up a good amount of that doesn't have the mileage. I mean, let's face it, Derrick Henry is starting to break down a little bit. Why does this make sense for the Eagles to do?
Makes absolutely no sense. I got a bunch of points I want to make to it, but I want to hear Derrick talk about it first. He talked about why he wouldn't be good here, and then I'll explain to you why I would think he'd be good.
First of all, why would you're not putting an eye back in this offense? He's an exclusive eye back. They don't run feature backs in this offense. He's a back that needs 25, 30 carries. When was the last time you seen a back in this offense that had 25, 30 carries a game?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen in this offense. They're not paying that kind of money. If that was the case, you would have kept Miles Sanders, plain and simple. Miles Sanders proved his durability. He got 1,000 yards. He would have probably been cheaper than Derrick Henry when you look at the numbers he got from Carolina.
Absolutely.
And then I checked with a few people, and the comment I got was, people out there just starting bleep. They don't know what the bleep are talking about. I said, okay. Once I heard that, I said, okay, that's all I need to know.
That's regarding Derrick Henry. Okay.
Who said that?
The folks he talked to.
This is why I'm going to say no, not no, but hell no. Just like you said, he's an eye back, meaning he has to get the ball from 8 yards deep, get going, and that's when he makes his yards. So, then people start making business decisions on what they're going to tackle or not. I'll start from this. The way they run offense is they run it from a shotgun position. That means Derrick Henry will have to go lateral, then go downhill. It'll take him too much to go lateral to get going downhill to be evasive in that type of offense. So he doesn't fit it that because of that. One reason right there. The reason why I know this because I watched Murray do it with Chip Kelly.
Right.
Yes.
Virtually the same back, but Derrick Henry's bigger than he is, and he has to go in two different directions. You want him to just go one direction. Let him follow that ball and go downhill. He's not doing that. Number two, the Eagles run an offense that is catered And this is why I don't think that, they're going to bring in Bijan. They run the offense that's catered to pass happy in the first. And if you're good with Bijan only getting 4 or 5 carries in the first half, and then they start pounding the second half because they pass the ball first to open up a lead so they can run the ball in the second half. Mm-hmm. That's how they run the offense. It's ironclad, true. That's what they do. They like to pass it to open up the run, and then they pound you after they got a lead.
Yeah. I worry. Look, he missed 7 games in 01. He missed 1 last year. And you're talking about a guy he's 29. He's not even 30 yet, but who's had 1,750 carries. Generally, when you start, not everybody, I know there's exceptions, and Adrian Peterson, and people will throw exceptions out there. I'm not saying there aren't exceptions, but usually this is when it starts to go the wrong way.
Let's show us 215. You're right.
Yeah.
It'd be like DeMarco Murray all over again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Running backs don't run out of shotgun. That's exactly what we're talking about. Yeah, exactly.
See, this is the thing that I hate about social media the most. When stuff gets out there, people just grab stuff and just run with it. Just run. They just hear a name and they just run with it. It has to fit the scheme. It has to fit. He doesn't fit their scheme.
Yeah.
Of what they do. But people here now, we got to have him. Go get him. We got to. No. Think about it. Think about it.
Yeah. Bijan will fit, though.
Yeah, Bijan will fit, definitely. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But they're not doing that.
You're not taking Bijan at 10. You're not getting him at 10.
Well, here's what you wonder, too, a little bit. Like, this is, again, you're trying to figure out what the motivation is behind this. Could this just be Derrick Henry's order for a change of scenery?
That's exactly what it is.
And leaked it to one of his guys and just said, dude, yeah, I know AJ's there. I'm friends with AJ. Yeah, I would love to land in Philly. They're a winning team. That's what I mean. Like, you got to take everything with a grain of salt when stuff's put out there like this.
When you've run the ball as much as as Derrick Henry has run the ball and has nothing to show for it, you look at their playoff appearances, they've always fallen short. It gets frustrating after a while. And sure, you want to put yourself in a position to get over that hump that you've never experienced before. Players do it all the time, whether they leak it directly to a media person or to a friend who leaks it to it or an agent who leaks it to it. Sure, they put it out there all the time. He's frustrated. I don't blame him. Mm-hmm. I don't blame him one bit. I mean, look at what he sacrificed for Tennessee and has nothing to show for his efforts. He has all these yards, all these carries. Yes, but he's 29 now. He's not 24 anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. The hits are starting to take their toll. He wants something. He wants a reward for what he has sacrificed for this game. I don't blame him.
Yep.
One bit.
That's exactly what it is. He's ring chasing. So
yeah,
I can't be mad at his effort. And why not leak it from somebody who's from the same firm? He has the same agent as Baja. Right. So when I look at that, I saw that. And when I saw it, it said Henry traded to the Eagles. It didn't say the rumor. It said Henry traded to the Eagles. I'm like, no, he doesn't fit. So I'm looking everywhere trying to figure out where this is coming from. Then I see it. Then I realize, they got the same agent. That's more than likely what's going on. But the more and more I think about Bijan, yes, he does fit this offense. Yes, he would be impactful in this offense. Do they run the ball enough to pick somebody up in the 10th as a 10th pick? No.
Yeah,
they just won't do it.
Yeah. So anyway, that was out there, and you always just prepare so that it'll start today probably, and we'll see it Tuesday, we'll see it Wednesday, and we'll especially see it Thursday morning. There's going to be someone who's projected likely to be in the top 10, who someone's going to put a hit campaign out on. Like, it's going to come. Something happened, when they were 14 years old and they crossed the street the wrong way, and all of a sudden, here we go. A guy got a jaywalking ticket or whatever. This stuff's going to start, and it's going to be a question of how much of a hit do they take, and do they start falling here? Because someone's going to do somebody dirty or whatever. Maybe they uncover something that's real. I don't know, but just trust me when I tell you that's going to happen. So there's that. Anyway, so looking at it, guys, we know the Eagles right now are at 10-30. Then we know they could trade up. We know they could trade back. There's a lot of different ways that they could go. If we went on record, if you want to just go on record just for the hell of it, just for fun today, and predict what you think is going to happen, what's our best guess?
This is my best guess, and I've been saying it for a little while now. I'm saying we stay at pick 10 and we get the carbon copy of what we have, 18.5 sacks from last year, and we go and get Smith.
Nolan Smith. Yep. Nolan Smith from Georgia.
I think he's our guy at pick number 10. And we trade the 30th pick.
Okay. 30 gets traded. They stay at 10. They take Nolan Smith. They trade 30 into the second round. Or are they going up?
They're trading 30 to get more picks in the second and the third.
Okay. Okay. All right. I like it. How about you, Gunnar?
If he falls, it's either Jalen Carter or Paris Johnson. That's I'm torn between those two, but every time I talk to somebody, that's high on their priority list, those two players at 10. 30th, here's where I think they may take a flyer on Bijan. If some way, I don't think it's going to happen, Bijan would drop to the high teens, low 20s. They may try to move up to keep him from going to Dallas if they feel that if they get skittish and feel he could end up in Dallas. But for the most part, Howie, I've said this too many times, Howie likes having those middle round picks. I think that 30th pick is perfect trade bait to get multiple picks in the third or fourth round, second round, another second round pick, something to that degree. But I do think they're going to try to stay where they are at 10 and get an elite player. If you look at this particular draft, there's a reason only 17 or 18 players were invited to the draft.
Wow, that's
There's
huge.
not 30. Think about that. I think that's the lowest number ever invited to the first day of a draft. The projections are they don't see 31 first-round picks in this year's draft. They feel there's some good a lot of good players, but a lot of similar players who would be good role players or have the potential to become Pro Bowl type players, but not legitimate surefire type 30 first-round picks. So that's why you only see 17, 18 drafted. So the Eagles want to stay and get one of those top 17, 18 players, whoever that player may be. So that's why I think they'll stand pat at 10 and start playing games with that 30th pick.
Okay. Look, good predictions. Here's where I'm going to go, and I'm going to go a little different here in that I'm going to stay pat with both. I think it's probably more likely 30 gets traded, but I'm just going to stay pat for a minute. You guys know, ideally, I'd like to get up and try and get Will Anderson and or Jalen Carter. I think it's going to be difficult. We'll talk about that a little bit later too, because there may be a little bit more of a way to get there, but a path. But anyway, here's what I think is going to happen. I think if they stay at 10, which I think they're going to do, I think again, just my estimation here, I think they're going to take Miles Murphy, the edge out of Clemson.
Good pick. That's still a good pick.
Yeah, 30. They're going to have to get a little lucky with this one. But if Brian Branch falls, if I come out of the first round with Miles Murphy and Brian Branch, I'm doing backflips. You get an edge guy who can move around that defensive line. You get Brian Branch, who's very versatile, who can do a lot of different things for you as well, who's been a 3-year starter at Bama. I think that's two pretty good hauls in the first round if that's what you come away from.
That's not bad at all. It's not bad.
That'll put our fearless leader Howie back into the Executive of the Year award. If he's able to pull that off.
You know what's funny? We all know it too. No matter what happens, unless he's taken before they pick at 10, people are going to be pissed off if they don't take Bijan. There's been such a fervor worked up here, and manufactured in a lot of ways regarding Bijan that no matter what happens there at 10, people are going to be angry if he's not there. If they don't take him, I'm sorry. It's just the way this thing works.
It'll be the Donovan, Ricky Williams.
Very much. Repeated 24 years later.
Yep. Yeah. Be the same thing because I just can't see them doing that. I mean, to me, it just doesn't make sense to me from the standpoint that they just don't invest in guys like that early. I thought that when they got Miles, they invested with him too early.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's just, they're definitely not going to do it in the first. And then when you think about Paris Johnson Jr., he's my number one offensive lineman in the draft.
Yep.
I don't know where people get this Peter Skoronski from. I watch film on both guys. I mean, tons and tons of film. Mm-hmm. And he's good. Peter Skoronski is very, very good. But Paris Johnson is better athletically. He's played more positions. He's played more time.
Yep.
he comes from a school that, you know, dominates in the Big Ten. So I don't see why they don't have him up higher as far as being a guy that they want to bring it down. In fact, I like Wright better than I like Peter Skoronski.
Oh, do you? Okay.
I like Wright better. So Peter Skoronski is my number 3 offensive lineman. Then I have Johnson and Wright as first and second. So those are 3 really good. But not to take anything away from them, all 3 of those guys will come in and be day 1 starters. All 3 of them could.
Yeah.
Day 1 starters. That's how good they are.
I'll tell you what was interesting. Go ahead, Gunnar.
Whoever they take, if they stay at 10, is not going to be an every down starter right away. They don't have to be.
Yes. That's another thing how we did.
Yep. Yes. They're in a position where, because of the players they have holding over, because of the players they brought back with contracts, they don't have to throw them to the fire right away. They can ease them in. Mm-hmm. Now, if they accelerate their learning curve, they'll get more reps as the season goes along. You can see them going from 20%, 35, 40, maybe even 50%, depending on how quickly they accelerate, or the injury factor. If a number of players go down at a certain position and they're needed out of necessity. You know, that's a great luxury to have as well, too, where you don't have to force them in. You could have another Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean situation where, you know, we can slowly groom them to assume a bigger role and not put a lot of pressure on them right away.
I saw a mock that, and tell me how likely you guys think this might be, that had Atlanta taking Bijan at 8, that he could be gone before the Eagles even get there.
That was the bet that I had, but I don't think that I didn't think he was gonna make it out 210.
Yeah,
that was the bet that I had right there.
Wow.
No, I do. I remember you saying that, Barrett. But look, it's possible when you're talking about a guy that talented. But the only thing I would say is, like, if you're Atlanta, you still have on the roster right now, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. They still have they drafted the kid Algier who went over 1,000 yards, and they still have Cordarrelle Patterson is still there too. Like, does Bijan make a ton of sense there?
No, it doesn't. Yeah. But not. Let me change that. This draft is going to be so wacky that Bijan gets drafted before 10. They are probably. I don't think they're going to make a run on quarterbacks until
the middle
round, because the quality of quarterbacks. There's only really 2 good quarterbacks in this draft that'll be worth a first round grade. But is that first round grade worth what they're, you know, what is it worth them being the first and second pick? That's where I'm not good, because to me, the 2 guys that get drafted as far as quarterbacks first, they wouldn't be. In fact, I don't think that they would be a top 10 pick in a draft from 2 years ago.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I don't think the quality is there. So that's why I was big on, you know, Derrick keeps saying they only invited 17 players to the draft.
Is that all round? That's all, just 17?
17 or 18, something like that.
That's crazy, because I've been saying that for the longest, that the quality of players in this draft is not such that I've been overwhelmed with what they're going to do.
There's no, like, not that the Eagles need it, right?
Right.
There's not the star power receiver, really. Like, I like Smith and Jigba. I like him.
Yeah.
But, like, there's not that guy where you're like, whoa, like, you're not really, even if you could be on Stroud. You're right. It's like there's major risk with Richardson, with Levis. You know, it's like solid trenches guys, you know, edge, and that's all well and good. But you're right. It just doesn't seem like this year doesn't pop like some other years did necessarily.
Right.
For whatever reason.
What do you think that is?
See, this story came out April. What's the date today? 24th.
24th.
This story came out April 13th. The NFL has announced 17 college players will be invited to attend the 2023 NFL Draft in Kansas City. Let me see. And then Kansas City outlets are also, how many players? Okay. 17 players. That's what it's coming out of Kansas City also. 17 college football prospects to attend 2023 NFL draft. So what does that tell you? There's too many middle of the road players that the NFL, and you know what? Kudos to the NFL.
Yeah, they don't want to embarrass them.
They don't want a young man sitting there embarrassed. How many times have we seen guys sitting in a green room on day 2?
Yeah,
bro, that's exactly why I didn't go.
Yep.
I got invited to New York on the draft. I was the top 5. I was a lineman in the draft. Top 5. You know what I'm saying? Top 5. I was a lineman, and they said, "Hey, we want to fly you up for the draft. You're gonna be in the green room." I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna stay in St. Louis, and I stayed there with my family. I got a room at, I think, like the Crown Hotel, one of the better hotels in St. Louis, and I stayed there. And that my agent had got me a suite. He had a room downstairs when I got drafted. All my family was downstairs with the festivities, so I'm down there with them. And the draft started, and I got halfway through the draft. I was like, you know what? I'm starting to get, knots in my stomach. Let me go. I'm going upstairs. I'm going to chill upstairs. And everybody told everybody, yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back. So I went upstairs and I laid down and I actually fell asleep, man. And till it got to the Kansas City pick. And Kansas City calls me and I'm talking to them. And they were like, well, we were going to pick you up. So hold off for a minute. And he said, all right, we'll call you back. And hung the phone up. Well, they didn't pick me up. They went with somebody else. Offensive tackle from Michigan, Trey something.
All right.
Trey Jenkins. Yeah, Trey Jenkins or Giselle Jenkins, something like that. Never played for him. He played 3 years in the NFL and never played for him. So they passed me by. The Jets called me. They passed by. Then I get drafted in the second round. I was thinking to myself, what if I would have went up there? I'd have been looking like a dunce in New York if I'd have went, because I went in the second round instead of the first round.
Yeah.
You look at the faces of some of these young men who are still sitting there on day 2. You can tell they're dejected, they're embarrassed, they're disappointed, and people are walking by consoling them. You see pick shots of people patting them on the back, whispering in their ears. That's tough for a young man. You've waited for this moment to be drafted, and everybody's told you you're going to be a first-round pick, and you're still sitting there. 32 picks have come and gone. You're still sitting there, and all of a sudden you're the loneliest man in the room. And so kudos. The NFL basically has identified 17 players that they are confident are going somewhere in the first round. So I don't blame the NFL for doing that one iota. And they're protecting the young players.
They're trying to do right by these guys. It is the right move.
Yeah.
You're right. And we've seen it. I was watching something on ESPN. They're doing these really good little pieces, the like path to the draft or something. I forget.
Yep.
And they were doing 1994 last night was one of them they had on. And it was Trent Dilfer, you forget, but he was like falling. And that's what spurred Mel Kiper getting into it with what was his name? Bill Tobin, who was the Colts guy.
The Colts GM, yeah.
Yeah, the Colts took Trev Alberts. And Kiper comes on and said, this is why they're a loser organization. This is why they're always picking second. And he went nuts. And this guy was like, who the hell is Mel Kiper? And started blasting Mel Kiper and blah, 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 blah. So,
bro, he got me drafted. Trev Alberts was the #1 defensive player in the country when we played against. He was in Nebraska.
Yeah.
And I whooped his tail, bro.
Really?
That's what got me drafted, because I played so well against him. Like, oh, this guy can play. And from that point on, my junior year, I balled out against. I was killing them. And then I went against, the guys from McGee and Williams from Colorado. Both of them won the first round that year. I played against so many great players that year. Steve Ettman, all those guys, and played well. And that's what got my stock all the way up. But Trev Alberts was the #1 defensive player in the country at the time.
Wow. That's awesome.
A rush in / linebacker.
He was great at Nebraska. He was.
Yeah, he was.
That's pretty cool, man. I didn't know that. So look, the point is this stuff happens, every single year. Peter King has them taking Nolan Smith at number 10. And I heard Baldy on, I forget where I heard Baldy, but Baldy's not a big fan. Baldy's, worried. He said he just doesn't like what he sees on film from him.
From Nelson. You were saying that from Nelson, not Nelson, but
Nolan Smith. Yeah.
Nolan Smith. Yeah.
He said, the odds of you getting 2 guys that are undersized like that and being as good as he and Reddick would be are rare. And we went on to talk about other stuff that he didn't necessarily like watching film of them. So, take it for what it's worth. Everybody's got their opinions, man. But I know Baldy's a guy who lives watching tape. He watches so much.
That's all
tape.
he does. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all he does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
But look, the odds are. Oh, by the way, the Eagles and have signed Tyree Jackson to his exclusive rights tender, and safety Marquise Blair has been released. You know, not major moves there, but something. Who? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Marquise Blair out. Tyree Jackson signed, re-signed, extended. I don't think they're going to sit there at 10-30. I think there's definitely going to be a move made, up or back, one or the other.
Well, certainly it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, but I don't know if he could. I don't know if he could stand not having any picks and sitting on his hands for the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th round.
Yeah, I don't need.
He has 6 picks. I can't see that happening. I mean, he's going to be going through convulsions. He's not going to know what to do with himself, bro.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, Barrett. I think they're going to figure out a way to get 4th and 5th rounders.
Right.
They're not going to go right from the 3rd to the 7th. They're what is it? They have 4 picks in the top 94. He's not going to wait all the way until there's 2 picks they have left in the 7th round. There's no chance that that's going to happen.
Well, people are saying, you know, that Desai going to run 2 standing edge rushers. That seems to work when you have guys like Kevin Green and what's his name? 95 Greg Lloyd. It worked for them.
Pittsburgh,
yeah. Greg Lloyd was a bad man.
Yep. And that's exactly the defense they run is that 3-4. So I mean, I'm just saying, you know.
Well, and the other thing I would say is I don't know. I'd have to see Smith more, but you guys tell me, is Reddick a total liability in the run? I don't think so.
No, Reddick sets the edge in a run.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, he's a liability in coverage, not the run, the coverage.
Well, they don't need it. They just need to rush the passer.
Exactly.
Bro, I just can't get past that. Hassan Reddick ran a 4.5 at the combine.
Yeah.
This kid ran a 4.3.
Yeah.
At 240.
Yeah, he's bigger.
Yes. He's 6'3", 240. Strong. Can set the edge. Been setting the edge.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, the tape doesn't follow. The tape, what do you mean the tape doesn't allow? What do you mean it doesn't? I can't get past the fact that we're talking about this kid not making every sack when you've got the caliber of players you have at Georgia. He's not going to be able to get there every single time.
Yeah.
Because you had Carter and them there.
Yeah, you had a bunch of other killers.
Right.
Yeah.
So, man, I don't know, man. You know,
I hear you. You know, look, fair enough. To each their own. Everybody's got their favorites and the guys they don't like. All right. So what we'll do with the NFL segment, guys, I know, Barrett, you didn't get a chance to really get into this, so we'll discuss this. Damar Hamlin's comeback. I'll tell you a couple of the things that are being bandied about, and one of them is Arizona being open to trading number 3. And also, so there's 2 spots in the top 10 that could be open for sale. Arizona potentially shopping the number 3 pick, and Houston not locked in on a quarterback, which means they could be willing to either take a defender or make a trade with somebody who's quarterback hungry. So we'll discuss all that. We'll get into the NFC East, moves that Dallas made, Washington and the Giants, whether they're better or worse. We'll hit all that stuff in the 2:00 segment. We'll come back. We'll talk a little Sixers, guys, a little bit deeper because they did sweep out the Nets, but there's concern. There's concern regarding Joel Embiid and that knee. So we will discuss that when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Derrick Gunn, Barrett Brooks. I'm Rob Ellis. We're Sports Take with you on this Monday. All right, let's talk about Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group because, finding that right person that you invest your money in, your hard-earned money, your money for your future, for your family, for you after, you retire, you got to make sure you get it right. And I found the right person, and I want to turn that right person on to you, and that's Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group. Whether it's retirement planning, 401k review, insurance review, you might have a small business and you're trying to get your employee benefits off the ground. He can help you with any of those kind of things and then some. If you're not really sure, he's a great sounding board, somebody to reach out to. I know I've entrusted my IRA, my 401k rollover with Jim, and I couldn't be any happier. You will be too. Give him a call. 610-996-4751. 610-996-4751. You can email him as well. Murray, MURRAY.Jim@principal.com. That's Murray.Jim@principal.com.